This is the SF Productions Podcast Network.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cap. Where can I take you to tonight?
From the Pop Culture Bunker, I'm Mindy.
And I'm Mark. You can check out our audio podcast, How I Get My Wife to Read Comics, on iTunes or on our website, sfpodcastnetwork.com. We were recently looking for a new car.
Well, we're sort of looking for a new car.
Yeah. And there's a lot of new safety options on cars now. Things like lane assist, where it will kind of tell you if you're going out of your lane.
Right, and backup cameras.
Right. There's these cars that will do parallel parking on their own.
Yes.
And auto braking, where it looks at the car in front of you when you've got cruise control on and goes, okay, I'm gonna
stop.
Yeah, disconnect the cruise control and start hitting the brake if you're getting too close. And of course, we've had cruise control for like a generation now.
Which, yeah, it kind of holds your speed steady, so you don't have to pay attention to that.
Right. And car companies have been testing new features all the time. And of course, there's always Kit and Speed Buggy.
Kit.
But Google's been testing these self-driving cars for several years, going back to the DARPA Grand Challenge in the mid-2000s. And this was a thing by the federal government who said, we want to get the self-driving thing jump-started.
Well, part of it was because they wanted to have cars that would maneuver through places where you couldn't necessarily send a car with somebody in it.
Right, so more robotics type thing.
Yes.
And they recently introduced a new model with no controls except for an emergency stop button. So there's no steering wheel, there's no pedals. Kind of looks like an anime car.
Yeah.
So how is all this even possible? Well, there's lots of tech, of course. They have multiple cameras going all around the car. They have high-end GPS units. They have what's called LiDAR, which creates a laser-based 3D map in real time of what's around them. Think Microsoft Kinect, but a really high-end version of that. Mm-hmm. So it can go, okay, well, there's a pedestrian, and he's moving at 2 miles an hour toward me, and he's 45 feet away. The car in front of me is 110 feet away, and he's going at this speed, that type of thing.
It's everything that you should be taking in yourself while you're driving, but you don't necessarily do so.
Right. And of course, this takes a lot of computing power to make it all work well. It has to work in real time. Mm-hmm. They've done long-term tests with the Google cars, 700,000 miles plus, and they've shown it works, and it's far safer than normal human driving. Mm-hmm. There have only been 2 accidents. Both were caused by humans. One was the self-driving car was stopped at a light, and it was rear-ended by a driving car.
All right.
And in the second case, the driver decided he wanted to take control. And once he did, and he was driving, then he got in an accident.
Ah, okay.
And, of course, computers aren't checking their phones or driving drunk or eating while driving.
Or changing the radio station or looking at their iPod.
Yeah, all the distractions aren't there. 4 states, California, Nevada, Michigan, and Florida, and the District of Columbia, have all allowed testing within their state on public roads. You normally still have to have a human being in the driver's seat.
Right. They're saying, there has to be a person there to take over in case something goes wrong.
Right. So the tech works, so why can't you buy one? Mm-hmm. Well, like a lot of things, there's always legal issues. The insurance industry is understandably skeptical. Will they ever allow it?
Well, because it could put them out of business for the most part. I mean, if everybody had a self-driving car and they're really that safe, would you need to buy very much insurance?
Well, the other way to look at it is, if they had both normal cars and driverless cars on the road, will it get to the point where normal cars will be too expensive to insure? Because, because the driverless cars are so safe, that makes the driver cars dangerous.
Yes.
Much more dangerous. And will future generations wonder why we did something so dangerous as driving a car?
I think they will, yes. Mm-hmm.
Because you're basically got this, 2-ton missile that you're whipping down the freeway at 65 miles an hour.
Yeah, and would those gradually keep going faster and faster as they get more efficient?
Right.
That might be something too. So.
Yeah. These self-driving cars can talk to each other over a mesh network. That's one of the things they really want to do. And this could technically eliminate traffic jams because, A, it could know that there was a problem and communicate it to all the other cars in the area. Plus, cars communicating with each other would go, oh, I need to stay the right distance so that I don't have to brake. And so you have this issue where first car slows down 5 miles an hour, the next one slows down 10, da-da-da-da-da, until you get to the end, and now you're in a traffic jam. It does open a lot of questions. Some of them more moral questions more than anything. Could you take a nap during a long trip?
I would hope so.
Could you read a book during a long trip?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
That would be the whole point, wouldn't it?
Right.
And in the new cars that they introduced, there's really no driver's seat or differentiation between a driver's seat and a passenger seat. So theoretically, you could be there, having tea or chit-chatting or reading or working.
Right. Will the car drop you off at work and then drive around the city instead of park?
Well, and that's the thing. Will these actually be personal cars?
Personal cars.
Maybe they'll be Johnny Cab.
Yeah.
And you just call up and you say, okay, I need a car now, and it will come and get you.
Right.
And then take you where you want to go, and then just go to the next person.
It's the next generation of Uber.
Yes, exactly.
Except there just won't be a driver.
Drivers.
Yeah. Will the car take itself to be serviced?
Well, again, that's probably going to be a matter of how the programming on it works. But if you owned one, I imagine you could program it to say, okay, I'm going to be at work now. Go to the service station.
Right.
Go get your oil changed, and you would have made an appointment so they would know the car was coming in.
Yeah. Or the car could just text you and go, hey, I'm up for my 5,000 mile oil change, so are you good for like half an hour? I'm going to go get an oil change. How about having the car go by itself to get tacos or a burger for you?
Now, this would work at some place like Chili's or one of those places that has the curbside service.
Right.
You pull up, they see your license plate, you've already paid, they just come out, put it in the car, and the car drives home for you.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah. We don't have to, you just wear pajamas all day. You wouldn't, you wouldn't have to go out at all. Will the car refuse to drive you from bar to bar if you're already drunk?
But why would it matter if you were drunk?
Well, for health reasons, just goes, hey, you're not supposed to be drunk in the first place.
Well, I don't think that would be an issue so much as, like, if you were drunk, it doesn't matter. But, like, maybe once you reached a certain blood alcohol level, it would take you to the hospital.
Yeah, if you're dangerously drunk, it's like, nope, you're cut off, buddy.
Yeah, we've got to get you to the hospital now.
So, what if two cars are about to get in an unavoidable accident? Say there's some mechanical issue and one of theirs brakes goes out. I mean, this can happen. Will the cars talk to each other and decide who gets to survive? So, say they figured out they talk to each other within a few milliseconds and get, okay, there's no way we can avoid an accident. There's option A, in which both people get injured. There's option B, in which one person dies and the other person is saved. And there's option C, where it's the other way around. And then it goes into your health information and goes, okay, well, if we do it this way, the older guy would be in the accident, and he's far less likely to survive because he's older.
Or she smokes, let her,
Exactly.
I think really that's gets a little esoteric.
Yeah, but it does really get into a moral question: is how much are you going to let the cars make the decisions for you? For quite a while, regardless of how we do this, we're not going to be able to just flip a switch and everybody has a driverless car. We're going to have normal cars and we're going to have driverless cars on the road at the same time. How will that work? Because
theoretically, that's what was happening in these tests, wasn't it?
That's what's going on now.
Yeah.
Right. So, will you eventually consider, hey, if you're in a driverless car, you get the equivalent of the HOV lane?
Yeah.
To try to get people to move over to driverless cars over time?
What I think they should really have electric driverless cars.
Mm. And that's certainly one of the things that we may see.
Then they could just go and park in their little solar powered charging unit while they're not busy. Right.
Well, and they've shown in labs basically that they can do these wireless charging. What's kind of wireless charging, what they do is, in some cases, they put like some sort of metal contacts into the tires, and you drive onto this pad, and then that's how it charges the vehicle.
That's cool.
And most importantly here, can people get over the idea of seating control? I mean, that's certainly been the idea that this is freedom, and you can drive where you want, you can go and do what you want, and you have this control of all this power at your fingertips. And
well, that is an issue, I think, because there'll be some people who always want to drive fast or faster. I personally, I would be just as happy. I don't want to go on a Greyhound bus because that isn't dedicated to my needs.
right.
I wouldn't get to stop and go to the bathroom when I wanted to,
Right.
or go to the restaurant I wanted to stop
Yep.
at, or whatever.
Yep.
But taking a car like this, I could sit back and do whatever I wanted, but it would still be in my control because I'd be telling it where to go.
True. I have to say, this is kind of related to a nightmare I've had from time to time of I'm in some sort of truck and you can't get to the front seat, and the truck is just driving down the road randomly.
Well, see, once you were in a driverless car, then you wouldn't have that dream anymore because you'd know that the car could drive itself.
Exactly. And as you said, it's probably going to start as taxis. The idea that you'll just call the vehicle, a vehicle, and some random vehicle will show up and drive where you want to go.
That would be really interesting in New York City.
Yeah.
How would that affect this whole medallion thing that they give out
Yep.
that are worth a fortune?
Yep.
For the drivers.
Yep, absolutely. I think you're going to see the idea of the traditional taxi cab fade away over time.
I think this would be excellent in big cities. You could just practically eliminate cars altogether.
Right.
Or privately owned cars. So, and while we're waiting for that, you can check out our audio podcast, How I Got My Wife to Read Comics, on iTunes, or on our website, sfpodcastnetwork.com. From the Pop Culture Bunker, I'm Mindy.
And I'm Mark. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Happy driving.